Marshall, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
As I say, you're a different type of guest. You're the devil with the detail.
Well, I don't know about that. The devil definitely, but I don't know about details sometimes.
Well, say the plan is, Marshall, we'll get a chat about just your own early years in football, where the love of football came from. We'll talk then about your current situation and the job that you're doing, and say we'll do the Keepie Uppies. So Niall Totten here, my co-host, he's a big stats fan himself, so he looks forward to that element of it.
Don't be testing me because I'll probably not get it right.
Not at all. So Marshall, just for anybody who's listening, you're NI Stats. You're the stats man. So all things Irish League, all things international football.
Yep, that's me. I spend probably about 10 hours a day doing all this, and you wouldn't believe the amount of effort goes into it, and the amount of requests I get per day. People asking me for stats, and sometimes I can help, and sometimes I can't. It just depends how much they want.
Yeah,
it can be difficult sometimes because I'm busy as well doing proper work.
So this is a real labour of love, as you said.
Well, yeah, it's a labour of love that became a job basically, and it's been my job now for 25 years.
So you haven't worked a day in your life, isn't that what they say when you love doing what you're doing?
Well, I think I earned it. I was a nurse for 17 years, and then I gave all that up to do what I'm doing now.
Very good, very good. Well, listen, we'll throw back to your early years. So, Marshall, where's your love for football come from? Who's your first idol? And the biggest question is, what football team do you support?
Right. Well, I was born in Enniskillen and played a lot of youth football with Enniskillen Rangers, and I was playing football from a very early age, and I was a huge George Best fan, so obviously my team's going to be Manchester United.
Can we end that now?
Yeah, the way they're playing at the minute, it's nothing to be proud of.
A lot of content.
I've seen some poor Manchester United teams, but this one has to take the biscuit. I can remember. I'm old enough to remember when United got relegated in back in '74, and went into the old second division, and even then they weren't as bad as they are now. But anyway, that's another story. So yeah, but I was brought up in Fermanagh, and played some decent football with Enniskillen Rangers and played for County Fermanagh, and had a couple of Earl Aiken was in the team. He went on to be an Irish League referee, and Nigel Burney was also in the team with me playing for Fermanagh, and he went on to play for Glenavon and Larne and represent the Irish League. So we had some good talent down there. Unfortunately, then it's not like it is now. You got scouts all over the place, and they come down. Fermanagh was a bit of a backwater then. Nobody would come down near us, and the amount of talent that must have went through people's fingers there and never got the opportunity to go and play for Irish League football. It was amazing. I can remember some really, really decent players down there who could have made it in the Irish League easily, if not across the water. But so that's where my love of football came. Supporting Northern Ireland. First game was way back in '77 to watch England, and I've been going ever since.
Yeah, fantastic. So your playing career, was it short-lived, long-lived?
Short-lived in the sense that I moved away to England when I was about 17. I was doing some voluntary work over there for about a year, and I actually got trials with Port Vale and Stoke City because I was living up around that area, but nothing ever came of it. And I probably thought it was better than it was, and like so many people. And
that's their loss.
I gave it up. I was a goalkeeper, and I gave it up to a degree. But then I was when I went back to Northern Ireland, then moved to England again, and I started playing Sunday League football and played for the same Sunday League team for 25 years. And I only gave up playing 11-a-side football when I was 54. and
Fair play.
but I'm paying for it now. It hardly work.
Well, me and Niall were on chatting just before you came on, talking about the over 35s. The two of us are still trying to recapture our youth playing for the over 35s locally at the minute. So,
and we might need a goalkeeper, Richie, because we've injury problems usually in the goalkeeping department. So, Marshall, if you're available, still got the gloves.
Well, funny enough, I'm organising a charity game. I haven't played in about 7 years, 6 years, and I'm organising a charity game for one of our next goalkeeper of mine who sadly died last year of a heart attack. And we're getting a charity game at Fermanagh Football Club, which is my local club here. And we're getting a lot of sort of Pompey players down, and sort of celeb team. And so I'm going to be donning the gloves again. So I'm dreading that, to be honest.
Look forward to the photographs from that, yeah.
I'll be an English version of Mickey Keenan.
Not bad.
He's made a few chats over these Keepie Uppies games. Mickey Keenan.
Yeah,
chatting to him last week.
I still see pictures of him doing training. And he must be well in his 60s now. And fair play to him.
Yeah,
he's a lot more agile than I am.
Very good. Very good. So we can, Tots want to maybe talk into the transition then into your role now as statsman.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on it there, Marshall. You were a nurse then for 17 years. How did you kind of fall into your football stats role? Was it, I suppose, how and why?
Well, I always, as well as playing football, I always took an interest in stats, and I was keeping stats at an early age. Like even when I was playing for Enniskillen Rangers, I was noting everything down, and then that was sort of a jotter, as we had then, and I still got that, in appearances and goal scores and that, and yeah, there wasn't many of them, let me tell you. And but yeah, so I always had a love of stats. And when I was nursing, when I moved to England in 1987, I was still nursing. But it was my ambition to actually do a Northern Ireland version of the Rothmans Yearbook, and that came to being around 1990. And so I was still working full time, putting a book together as well. And in total, I've done about 12, 13 books. And but it was from that I actually got the opportunity to work with the Belfast Telegraph and Stephen Beacom. And Stephen Beacom being a good Fermanagh man, we got talking one day, and I ended up getting a wee column on a Friday night in the Belfast Telegraph called Statman. So
brilliant.
Why not? So literally, it was from that, from doing the yearbooks that people got to know me. And then when I decided to give up nursing and go freelance, that was one of my first jobs, was working with the Belfast Telegraph, and progressed from there. And I was doing that for about 3-4 years. I was working for various yearbooks. I was providing stats for Italian yearbooks and German yearbooks, and basically anybody would have me. And from that, Stephen Beacom was talking to Laurie Sanchez one day when Laurie was manager around 2004, 2005. And Laurie was actually looking some stats on the team. And he was going away to this company and trying to get stats, and they were struggling to provide them. And Stephen basically says, well, I know a guy who'd be able to help you. And literally, that's where it all took off. And that was 2005, and I've been working with the IFA ever since, and I've worked with every manager since Laurie, and providing information and doing research for them, and so yeah, I just took off from there.
And that's sort of a nice wee link, I suppose, because that was what I was going to kind of move on to. So you obviously have an important role with the IFA. So you've kind of answered how did that come about, but so what does it entail? Do you have to kind of feed them information every couple of weeks, or?
Well, what I do is I provide a spreadsheet twice a week for now Ian Barraclough and the underage coaches under 21s, John Schofield, and then Jared Little as well. And among other people, there's about 10, 12 people on the list I actually send this email out to. And it literally, every weekend I will sit down and I will look at every single player that we have playing in England and Scotland and abroad or wherever it may be. I detail their playing time, if they're being booked, if they've been unused sub, how many minutes they've played, and basically that's for every single player. And I do that twice a week. So on a Monday morning they'll get an email with all the weekend stats, and then on a Friday they'll get an email with all the midweek stats. And I also do that for our younger players now at under 23 and under 18 level who are playing that level of football in England. That's a little bit more difficult. Only do that once a week because to get the information sometimes it means trawling through the internet and looking at many websites and seeing if we've got assists, for that particular game. And, so I do that. And then I also do the Irish League as well. And I'll do a monthly spreadsheet for the guys and, on underage players, any players in Northern Ireland born and from their 20, 21 and under and their playing time, so the Irish League guys aren't missing out either. And so the coaches know are aware, who's available. And so that's basically what I do with the Irish FA. But I get people contacting me saying, oh, so-and-so maybe, eligible to play for us, and I'll pass the information on. And without I can't go into detail, but there was somebody the other day contacted me, and, I passed that on to the relevant people. And, and players themselves will actually contact me on Twitter, direct message, and one of them, again, won't name, but one of them actually contacted me and said he was interested in playing for Northern Ireland. And I says, are you eligible? And he says, yes. And he says, my dad's from Northern Ireland. So he's he more or less went straight into the Northern Ireland setup once we found the correct information on him and verified that he was eligible to play for us. So, so that's a nice little side bit of it as well. And, I'll talk to the coaches too. And, I was talking to John Schofield the other day and just basically about, certain players and that and, injuries. And that's another thing I do. I'll keep our physios and doctors up to scratch with what players are injured and what injuries they have. And, so they can actually keep a record of it and monitor them.
So it's a huge amount of work. It's unbelievable. Then that must just consume you throughout the week. But enjoyable, I'm sure, at the same time, because you've got obviously that passion for stats and football. It's just kind of the perfect job for you.
Well, yes, it is, and it's enjoyable. And I don't, I've been working from home now for 25 years. So when lockdown came and people were saying, what's it like working from home? It's just the same as, same old.
Busman's holiday.
Yeah, so it didn't deter me at all. But, that's my IFA role. But then I also do stats for the BBC. And, when there's live games on, I'll do a stat pack for the BBC and for every live game. And, so if I've got maybe a couple of games a week, I just finished one today, actually. But if there's 2 games a week, it can be quite intense. And like last week, they switched the game from Dungannon, which was postponed, to Larne. And I put a stat pack together in the space of about 3 hours, which it usually takes me about a day and a half.
Goodness me. So these commentators on the games, they're receiving information via all your hard work, and then they sound like the professionals on
Oh no! In fairness, they do give me shout outs now and again, so they cleared out themselves. But it doesn't bother me anyway, because nobody else may know it, but I'll know it. That if they come out with a stat, I think, yeah, it was 93 since Lauren beat so and so, at home,
yeah.
But yeah, the amount of time I spend actually searching for specific stats, you wouldn't believe, just to have one line, and I spent maybe a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour just trying to find that. But that's what I do.
That's it.
And I have to be honest, like I use some of your stats in work because there's a fella I work with, Pierce, who is a Cliftonville fan, and I was just telling him, did you know Joe Gormley scored 200 whatever goals in so many games? And he kind of looked at me, so I even have to be honest, I'm like the commentators, I kind of steal some of your stats as well.
Well, I've got I could have stats, so that's fine. I love people, that's what they're there for, tonight, so people can use them. But I like putting that sort of stuff together, and during the close season is probably as busy as it is during the season, because like last summer what I did, I nearly got it finished, but I've actually got a complete record for every player in the Irish League. So how many appearances I've made, how many assists I've made, how many minutes I've played, how many pens I've missed and scored, and for goalkeepers, and how many clean sheets and goals I've saved. So I'll put that all together.
There'll be boys banging your door down. Look at them.
Some of the players do come to me, and a particular player came to me once not so long ago and saying, how many games have I started, and how many times have that particular team won when I started, because he wasn't getting a run out. He says, right, I get the information, and I didn't know he was going to do this. He says, I'll be going to the manager first thing in the morning and said,
Brilliant.
I played under Richie when he was manager of Oxford. I should have done that with him. He dropped me one time when I went to a Liverpool match, and actually I think they won that day. So
I would have dropped you too if you went to a Liverpool game. Fair play to him.
Well, Stephen Bickham, is he not a Liverpool fan? So, and he.
I know, but he's all right.
Yeah, he's done you a wee favour.
We've all got our crosses to bear.
But the other thing I was going to say to you, I loved you done I think it was around lockdown. I remember you were doing like the top 10 managers in the Irish League and top 10 goal scorers. Especially during that time, because everybody was just bored out of their head, and you were stuck at home and whatnot, but that was great.
I was never as busy, to be honest, than I was over lockdown, because I was doing that. And that was, to put those top 10 lists together was quite intense, especially when I put the stats in as well for, the goal scorers and for the managers and their record, and I enjoyed doing that for the BBC, and I was grateful to, for the work as well. And I think that's when my Twitter sort of feed sort of really took off, was over lockdown. Because I was, in between, I was actually going through, I had loads of photographs here, from old yearbooks, and I was putting them on, and people were enjoying that. And every edition of the Ireland Saturday Night or the Ulster or the thing.
Oh, I remember that.
And I was putting photographs, I was going through them, and I had every edition from 1987 till it ceased in 2008. So I was just going through that and taking out old photographs. And I remember getting one of Julie Nelson when she was about 10 or 11, playing for a five-a-side team. Their photograph was in the Ireland Saturday Night, so I put it on, and people seemed to like that. And I was getting messages from guys saying it was great. It made me reconnect with people I played with years ago, and I thought, I wonder what he's doing. I'll give him a call, or find out how he is. And a lot of that was going on, and people appreciated that, which was good. I thought, well, might as well put all these photographs. I've got an office here with about 750 books and dozens of files and memorabilia coming out of my ears, so, and you can just put it on, and people seem to like, older things.
Absolutely. Yeah, this podcast was the same sort of sentiment. It was under when in lockdown, reaching out to old football friends and reconnecting, and then reaching out to people like yourself now, and creating new football friends. So lockdown brought a lot of positivity as well as negatives that came with it.
Well, you see, my difficulty or problem is sometimes that I never meet anybody. I know so many people through Twitter now and through my work, but I never meet them because I'm living in England. I don't get that opportunity, and I used to when the Northern Ireland games were on. I'd meet people in the press area and stuff like and chat to them. But strangely, the other week, Northern Ireland under-15s were playing Southampton under-15s at Southampton's training ground. So I thought I'd go down and go and see them. And so I gave Andy Waterworth again, who like I speak to or text Andy and send him messages. But I've never met the guy, and so I went down there and I met Andy and Chris Lindsay and Roy Carroll, and met them all for the first time, and it was great. They could put an ugly face to a name, like. And,
No, that's fantastic. And I was just going to say about putting the old photos up. It kind of what probably some of the people have been saying to you. It's just great even just to reminisce, because you put up a few photos of the likes of Stephen McBride and Raymond McCoy, because I was a Glenavon fan. My dad would have taken me to Glenavon matches back in the day, and obviously then when I started playing football, I kind of lost touch with Glenavon, but it just took me back even to those days. My dad would have taken me to watch, and Glenn Ferguson, who obviously scored quite a few goals for Linfield, but also scored quite a few for Glenavon. Just remember those days. So yeah, it's even great seeing those photos on top of the stats you put up with some of the current players.
Yeah, because he scored 227 goals for Glenavon.
Yeah.
In 367 games. There you go.
just off the top of the head there.
Just off the top of the head.
Actually, strangely enough, I've got an index card here with all his record on it. 564 goals if you count the one he scored in the Charity Shield for Linfield. So I just have these stats, and it's amazing that if I'm actually putting the stats together, like as I was doing for the game tomorrow night, Carrick and Linfield, there's stats stick in my head, and they'll stick in my head for a couple of days. And when the game's actually being played, stats will come out. And it's the same for Northern Ireland games. I can remember going to a Northern Ireland game once, and Kieran Brown was playing, and Kieran Brown was playing, and nobody had heard of him before, but I'd heard of him obviously, and we're saying, "Who is this guy, like Kieran Brown?" I says, "Yeah, he was born in Hillingdon in London, Borough of London," and the guys were saying, "Oh, right," and I says, "Who's the only Northern Ireland other Northern Ireland player to play for Northern Ireland, win a full international cap, who was born in Hillingdon?" They're standing looking at that. But go on, have a guess. It was Colin Hill. Colin Hill used to play for Leicester and Arsenal. So it's little things like that stick in my head, and sadly. But
well, that's where you got your column. That's where you got your column.
Well, yeah, so when you come out, I do wind them up sometimes, and I think they were playing like with it was 3 or 4 players with orange boots one night playing for Northern Ireland. And I said at half time, I said, it's the first time there's actually ever been 4 players played for Northern Ireland with orange boots. And they're saying, really? No.
That's outside your remit.
Yeah, I'm sad, but not that sad.
Brilliant.
And how do you feel Ian Bartloff's doing then? I know he had kind of a tough start, but he seems to be...
Yeah, well, I think Ian's...
Getting his ideas across, yeah?
Yeah. I was getting a bit of flack at one stage because I was saying that, if you look at purely stats-wise, wherein Michael O'Neill was manager, he won 1 out of 18, and then Ian was, had a better win percentage over his 18 games, and says, well, he's had better players, and there was all this arguments on Twitter about it. But, I think he's doing a really good job. It is a transitional period for the Northern Ireland team, and we have got some really good youngsters coming through now. And I think the IFA Academy is starting to bear fruit, and I think I put that stat out the other week, like I think it was 44, 45 players who have come through the IFA Academy who are now attached with English and Scottish clubs, and I think it was 13 or 14 were Premier League clubs. And these guys are doing quite well. They've all got potential, and it's whether they're going to realise this potential. And, but even if we get 2 or 3 of them coming through, that's a huge bonus for Northern Ireland. And I think it is difficult. We're a small nation, and we're always going to be punching above our weight, trying to qualify for tournaments and that. But I think performance against Italy was really good, and it just shows there is a potential there. And I think the pathway is different as well now, because you look at the players staying on the Irish League and getting 100 games under their belt and, playing till they're 21, 22. You just look at Trey Hume, Oisin Smith, Gavin White, Stuart Dallas, prime one, Gareth McCauley. But, these guys are actually, they're coming, especially like of Oisin and Trey Hume. There's Trey Hume has actually played a couple of games for Sunderland already, and he's just made that transition so easily. And, to actually get, build up your career in the Irish League and get that move to England sometimes is possibly a better pathway, because you can go straight into the first team. And, I think a lot of our younger players, they're in the academies playing under 18, under 23 football, which isn't, maybe of great standard. It's not men's football as such. And, it's not as competitive. And I think that, they build you up and make you stronger in the Irish League. And they're more capable of actually coming over and going straight into first team squads.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because Richie, we were chatting to one of our previous Keepie Uppies, was it, with Kieran O'Kane, and he was kind of saying the exact same thing about the pathways just kind of changed, and he thinks it's changed for the, for the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I suppose you could have.
Look at Shane Lavery, and last season, playing for Linfield, scoring loads of goals for Linfield, and that took me by surprise. I didn't think he would settle in as well. Or as quickly at Blackpool, but
at Blackpool
he did, and it was brilliant.
No, it's interesting, and they say even consistency and at the top end of for the international game. Michael O'Neill was replaced by Barclough, who was the under-21 manager, or beneath him. So there's a consistency, and they've bought into this plan, and as I say, it's burned.
Well, it's like for being a Liverpool fan, it's like the old Liverpool boots, and that's what they used to do is bring the managers through that way, and they knew the setup, and it was just an easy transition, and I think that was probably not the only reason, but that was one of the reasons maybe Ian got the job, that they wanted that transition. He knew the setup, the players knew him, and obviously a lot of the younger players knew him, and he knew what. The ethos of what Michael O'Neill had done previously, and he wanted to carry that on, obviously in his own managerial style, but the whole idea is the same, and I think that it will be difficult, but hopefully we've got a tough Nations League group as well, and just typical for us, but come around to the next European Championships, or Euro qualifiers, hopefully we'll be in a better position now.
Yeah, well, all the bigger and better players playing at a higher level, because of the new approach can only hold us in good stead,
Well, definitely, and I think Irish League players are going to get an opportunity as well. Like Shane Lavery did it when he was playing for Linfield, and and hopefully, as I said previously, that's a brilliant pathway now, and the Irish League has improved tremendously. Over the last 3-4 years, more professional, and obviously we've got the full-time clubs now, which is going to help, and hopefully that's the future.
And I noticed actually the last time I was going to ask you, Marshall, as well, on Twitter, when you seem to put up the attendance figures, just seems to cause absolute mayhem with Richie. You should see it. Some people actually really take it so personal, if their attendance figures aren't as high as they have it in their head.
Yeah. Like people have a go at me. All I'm doing is taking it from the Niffle site, and putting it on Twitter. But people are having a go at me. It's like, I'm making it up.
Our own club, Marshall. Sorry. Our own club, Oxford Sunnyside, had a historical game, first time ever playing in the big boys element of the Irish Cup. We played Linfield at Windsor Park.
That's right, last 4
and our attendance was celebrated because some of the bigger teams didn't played against bigger teams, and our attendance was quite high in comparison. So it's interesting that people took offence.
Well, yeah, but you're always going to get that. And, like I was going to put something up the other day, and I thought, no, I couldn't be bothered. Because I'll just start in a thread, it'll just go on, and you'll get the same people coming back and saying, mine's bigger than yours, type thing. But hey, that's what it is.
You can't please everybody.
No,
just most people.
Can't please anybody sometimes.
You got the stats to prove that.
Yeah. The one thing I was quoted once on the radio. Somebody says that I put out a stat that Jimmy Mulgrew was the most foul player. I never said anything of the sort. People were interpreting that to me. I was like, I don't know where you got that from, right? And it's still, people still say Jimmy Mulgrew is the most. I don't know how you prove that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I have no idea. And,
do you have the stats to prove that Will Grigg was on fire?
No. But that was one. I must admit, going to the Euros, I was fantastic, and I've lived long in the memory. And now that the women's Euros are actually going to be in England, and obviously Northern Ireland, women are going to be playing down in Southampton, which is only down the road here from me, and be going to all three games. And and my son now is a big Northern Ireland fan, obviously, and brought him up well, and he's called Callum. You don't need to be a brain surgeon to work out why I called him Callum, but anyway.
Cool. Right, do we want to think about hitting the Keepie Uppie questions? And then Niall has a controversial question to finish things off. He calls it the Wheel of Burba.
Right, okay. Well, I don't know how I'm going to answer some of these questions. I did have a look at them, and I thought, that was really difficult, because of my... nobody will have heard of half these guys or any of these guys.
Well, we can
apart from the guys
them.
themselves. Yeah. They'll probably love
it. If you need to use stats to get the right answer, then feel free.
No, I'm not going to use any more stats. I'm all statted out today, to be honest. I need a break.
Fair enough. All right, then. So we'll kick it off.
I was going to ask you, Marshall. Do you know the stat for what English team has won the most European Cups?
I'm struggling with that one. Yeah.
Sure.
The name
I'll give you a day and a half to work that one out.
Yeah, I'll
We're
probably have
to be making football friends here, Tots.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. So
Okay.
All right, I think you might have answered this one already, Marshall. But the best team you ever played for?
Yeah, I'll have to say that was the County Fermanagh side, 1979. There you go. That's going back a bit. We played up they used to have this tournament called the ESO tournament, and they had it up in Mollusk playing field. And so I was a really good team that day.
Very good. Your best captain?
Well, again, that would have to be Nigel Burney. He was skipper of the side, and I said he went on to bigger and better things, better than us. Funny enough, from that tournament, I was asked to. Me and Nigel were both asked to go and sign for Distillery, and Nigel went away and actually signed for them, and I didn't. There was a manager, Gibby McKenzie, asked us after the tournament, but I was heading away off to England after that, so obviously it wasn't going to suit me signing for Distillery, and so I still have a soft spot for Distillery now and again as well.
Very good. All right, best goal scorer.
Best goal scorer I've played with.
Played with or tick, whatever you fancy.
Best goal scorer. There was a guy in my Sunday league team, and he played semi-pro around some non-league teams in England, and he came to us when he was about 37, 38, and he played a season and a half or two with us, and he scored bucketfuls of goals. Right, he was just a different class. You could just actually see him. Actually, he wouldn't have to do anything. A little. He would get shots on target that he had no right to do. He was just so superior to every other player that was on the pitch. Like, he was amazing. But then he was a bit of a drinker, so we lost him after that, like, unfortunately. But
hence the Sunday League.
yeah, Sunday League's brilliant.
Is there anything to be said about the structure here for Sunday League? You know, where you can get the football lovers to go and watch the football and still play the football? As Niall referenced, they're being a Glenavon fan and then playing football sort of stopped that opportunity to go and support.
Yeah, I think it's what we were saying earlier about attendances is that as well. That if we have games played at different times, you can see the Friday night games that are streamed on the BBC. They're well attended, because people got the opportunity. Maybe they're playing Saturday morning football, whatever. Saturday afternoon can't be playing games, so to get the opportunity. And I think it's interesting that the League Cup final is going to be on a Sunday this year.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another way to go. I'm not a great believer in summer football, to be honest, but I prefer it during the winter. But not there'd be much difference in summer and winter in Northern Ireland anyway. But I think, Sunday football, playing games on a Monday night, I think that's the way to actually go. And, people, as you said, people who are playing football at the weekends will get the opportunity to come out and support their local teams. And I think, with all the talk about improving the stadiums and stuff at the minute as well, the stadiums are improved, capacities will increase, you get more fans through the turnstiles. It's all got a knock-on effect. So, I think we definitely need to look at that. More games on a Friday. I think games kicking off at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon are brilliant, and I'm a traditionalist and I like that as well, but I think if you're looking to progress the leagues and get more people attending matches, I think, we have to look at, something different for the Irish League, which they are doing at the minute.
Well, it's good to hear that. I fully agree. All right, back to the Keepie Uppie questions then. So, best touch?
Best touch. The player I saw with the best touch, right, was one day, this is true, right, we were playing a cup game against Bangladeshi youth, right, and
Wow.
I wasn't the manager at the time, right, and this is going back a while, but the manager said, we were only 10 players, and the manager turned around and says, right, don't worry, and we're 5 minutes into the game, and says, somebody's coming along and he'll come on and play for us. So we were playing, and this white Mercedes pulled up to the side of the pitch, right? And this guy came out, and Ron, our manager, went over to him and threw him a shirt, and he came on. And this game was being held in March, right? And it was a Southampton captain at the time, Glenn Cockrell, right? And Ron, I played football or played golf with him. Earlier in the week and said, did he want to play a game? And he came on, right? And he just stood in the middle of the pitch and nobody could get the ball off him. His first touch was superb and he didn't even have shin pads on. And I can remember, I was in goal and I can remember a corner was being taken. These guys in the opposition team says, see that player you brought on? He's a spitting image of Glenn Cockrell. And I says, yeah. So if you're going to play a ringer, play a ringer like that.
Yeah.
So.
Brilliant. All right, this one might be closer to your heart. Best goalkeeper?
Best goalkeeper I've played with? I can't put myself up there because it wouldn't be true. That's a tough one. Like my favourite goalkeeper. Right.
Let's do the favourite. Yeah,
we'll go with that. Yeah.
Obviously, my favourite goalkeeper is Pat Jennings. And he was immense. And I saw Big Pat in his heyday, and he did have hands like shovels, and there was nobody to touch him. And even now, when you look at him coming out and catching the ball with one hand, and you look at what keepers do today, and Big Pat. And one of the things, he was unorthodox, right? Because he loved it, but like David De Gea, he saved a lot of shots with his feet, right? And to me, that's very good positional sense. because he was always alert, and that's what made him stand out. And I can actually, this is a good one to tell you, but I remember the day I actually saved 2 penalties at Anfield. And it was way back in the 70s. I think it was against Kevin Keegan. Missed them. You're obviously too young to remember that, but I just saw the put a Liverpool.
Obviously. Very good. Very good. I met Pat Jennings, I must have been 10. He was opening a shop in Lurgan, a paint shop in Lurgan. And then I met him again for the first time 30 years later at our club at Knockgrammar Park. The club had won a regional club award. And he shook my hand, and as you rightly say, my hand disappeared.
Yeah. And he hasn't changed. He's hardly changed.
No, it hasn't changed a bit. Same hairstyle, same demeanour, absolutely. And I say he took a lot of time for us on the day.
Yeah, he could still play now, so he could, And because I remember my cousin years and years ago, like it's when Pat was playing for Arsenal in the 70s and stuff. And my cousin used to own a boat down in Fermanagh in the lakes, and he was friendly with Pat Jennings. And every year, Pat used to come down in the summer and go out for a few days in the lakes with Desi. And I would say to him, when next time he's down, let me know. He never did. He would tell me the day after he's there. After Pat was down again,
Very good. All right, best defender.
Best defender. Pass on that one.
Who's your favourite defender then?
My favourite defender, Jimmy Nicholl.
Jimmy Nicholl.
Sorry. Jimmy Nicholl, and he's, again, going in the 70s, he used to have this routine where he would take a free kick, right? He'd hold the 2 hands up, and nobody ever knew what it meant. But every single time he took a free kick. But I can, because being a Manchester United fan as well, and he just used to run down the wing like he was your typical overlapping fullback, and he was just a superb player. And I'll never really understand why he actually wasn't picked for Northern Ireland after the age of 29. And because World Cup in '86 was his last. His last international, and but yeah, one of the best defenders I've seen play for Northern Ireland, definitely.
Very good. All right, best midfielder or favourite midfielder?
Well, I suppose you could say the best midfielder I played against was Norman Whiteside, and that though in those days he was a striker. Right, and that Fermanagh team we played against Belfast team, and we were all about 17 and he was 13, and everybody knew who he was, right, because he'd already signed schoolboy forms for Manchester United. I remember UTV doing a programme on him, and he was brilliant, and he scored a hat-trick against me that day. We lost 5-1, and I've met him since, and I've told him to his face he ruined my football career, but but he's a nice guy, really nice guy, do anything for anybody, but he was at 13, the size of him, he was just huge, and a skinhead, and he was just a superb footballer, and again his career tragically cut short by injury, but there was nobody to touch Norman, and I wouldn't have liked to get in a tackle with him at all,
No. Very good. Another Northern Ireland great. So best striker?
Best striker. Well, that guy I told you about played Sunday League, but I'll do more of my favourite strikers and stuff, favourite players here, because it's more relevant.
No worries.
Favourite striker. The best striker would be David Healy, but my favourite was a guy, you've heard of him, Derek Spence. I used to love Derek Spence. Don't know why, but I used to love seeing him play for Northern Ireland. And blonde hair, played for Blackpool. And I remember he scored a brilliant goal when we drew 2-2 with Holland way back in '76. And again, you're far too young to remember this. So,
well, I am.
You're giving us homework here. We'll go and have to Google these guys.
Yeah, Google it. But Derek Spence was a brilliant player, and I can remember. Must have been 10 years ago, and I actually got his phone number, and he was still living in the Blackpool area, and I rang him up. I was doing an interview with him, and it must have lasted an hour because he did not stop talking, and that guy could talk, like, you know, but he's such an interesting fella. And but he was one of my favourite Northern Ireland strikers. Obviously, David, for all the goals he scored and all the memories he gave us.
Yeah.
You know, switches back on you. Which game would you say that you prefer, David Healy, in the Spain game or the England game?
I'll tell you, the only one the England game stands out more simply because a friend put a football bet on it. And nobody expected us to beat England at all. And the 1-0 victory got him his winnings and a new washing machine. His washing machine had broke that day.
£10 for a washing machine, that's good.
I'm telling you. I think he lifted £190 from the bet, something, whatever it was that he bet. So definitely the England goal. Yeah.
No, but I'd be the other way. Like, you know, England was memorable, but I think actually to score a hat trick against, you know, Spain, who are one of the top teams in the world at that time, you know, and for a Northern Ireland player to get a hat trick is unusual anyway. There hasn't been that many, but you know, but they do it against Spain, and just think like, that stands out more in my mind.
Fair enough. All right, best left foot.
Pass. I couldn't even think of a left-footed player. Well, again, favourite players. I think Chris Brunt. To me, like I don't think he ever, you know, produced his best for Northern Ireland until his later years. Right, and you know, the last 3 or 4 years as an international, I think we saw the best of him then. But
he kind of reverted their left fullback, didn't he, as opposed to
and you know, but his ability, you know, his dead balls, you know, was just superb, and he should have got a lot more goals for us, like, you know, and he did. He used to score some great goals for him. It was at West Brom and stuff, but
finished with.
It's probably the best left-footed player we've ever had.
Yeah,
not that I can name any more.
Best right foot?
He had a good right foot as well, Chris Brunt, like, you know, so. Best right foot. Pass. You see, I'm relating everything to Northern Ireland, which I will do because
That's all right. That's all right.
I've been watching Northern Ireland for 45 years now, and the best right foot. Pass. I'll have to give that one a miss.
No problem. All right. What about best manager?
Oh, best manager. Alex Ferguson. Sorry. I do like.
Oh, he wasn't bad now, to be fair.
Yeah, Alex Ferguson. And I've got a wee story about Alex. I was invited to the Football Writers' Day up in London by Malcolm Brodie. I'm sure you remember Malcolm. And that particular time, Malcolm had just about 6 months previously recovered from having a heart attack. And then we were at the table. We were sitting on the table, and the guests of honour that night were Pat Jennings, right, Alex Ferguson, Bobby Charlton, and Cristiano Ronaldo. And so I got my son's autograph book, and I went up in breaking proceedings, and you're allowed to go up to, there's like a top table you had, like, you know, but like a wedding top table, you're able to go up there and get autographs, and Ronaldo nicked my pen, but anyway. And I got Alex Ferguson's autograph, and I got Bobby Charlton's, like, and being a Man United fan, this was brilliant. And but they all knew Malcolm Brodie. Right. And so anyway, I sat down at the table, and Malcolm says, "Here's an autograph book. Do you want to go back up?" And I've got it for this wee boy's. He's ill in hospital in Belfast, and I said, "I get his autograph book signed." And I says, "Yeah, okay." So I went up and went straight up to Alex Ferguson. And I says, "Oh, can you sign this, please?" And he says, "I've just signed your autograph book," and he just looked at me, you know, really dismissively, like, "I've just signed it." I says, "Oh no, this is for Malcolm Brodie." "Oh right, how is Malcolm?" And Bobby Charlton joined in the conversation, like and Pat Jennings, and they're all laughing, like, and I'm just like, yeah, like he's fine now. Like, all right, we'll go down and see him in a minute, like. So, but so yeah, like that was some night to meet all those guys, like
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
But so I do, as part of my job, I do get the opportunity to meet people, which I very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, here's a stat for you. Or correct me if I'm wrong. Ronnie McFall was the longest-serving manager in Europe. For a stage after Ferguson retired. The reason I mentioned Ronnie McFall is because I had close and personals with him as well. He actually was in my house to sign my brother for Portadown whenever I was a kid.
Who's your brother?
Well, Stephen played youth football before he went to America. But there was a squad of boys all from Lurgan had signed for Portadown at the time. Pat McGibbon, Liam Smith, Darren Whitmarsh, who all went played junior.
They all went to Manchester United.
And they did indeed, yeah. They did indeed.
Darren
and Liam are good friends. He is, yeah. Good friends of my brother Stephen and Pat McGibbon. They're all good friends. All went to Portadown at the same time. But the reason you mentioned the best manager, and as I say, Alex Ferguson, I know there was that stat that Ronnie McFall was the longest serving after Ferguson had retired.
Yeah, and Anne McFall was the longest serving assistant manager.
Right.
Yeah, she was apparently. I've never met. You see, again, I've never met these guys. I only met them. Like when you talk about managers like David Jeffrey and Roy Coyle, and Northern Ireland, the Irish League, has had some great managers over the years. And as you say, Ronnie is probably the best. What he done with that Portadown side, in the early '90s, was superb. Yeah. Unfortunately, see where they are now. It's a shame, but. And Roy Coyle's another brilliant manager. But yeah, I think you're probably right with that stat. Something in the back of my head says you're correct. I actually haven't worked it. Yeah, no. I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah. All right. Which player loved a hard challenge?
Ooh, God. Graham Souness did. Loved a hard challenge. Going back to the Irish League, right? Kirk Hunter. You remember him? No. Again,
Who did he play for?
Crusaders. The Hatchet Men. Yeah, he was tough. And Mickey Collins, next Portadown player.
Oh, yes, yeah.
He was a hard guy, right? I remember doing that. Yeah, exactly. I remember doing stopping a number of send-offs he got once. And, the Irish League has had some hard men down the years, and probably wouldn't get away with it now. And football's changed too much. But that's why I don't watch a lot of Premier League football now, but I'd rather watch the Irish League, because I think it's, say it's real football. I think, it is. It's more exciting. I think the teams are actually, there's a much more level playing field in the Irish League, and Premier League just bores me to tears, to be honest, especially being a Manchester United fan these days. And I just don't find it exciting at all. I find it pretty boring, and I know Liverpool won 6-0 last night, but I didn't watch it.
Well, it was hard to watch. They didn't even televise the game.
No, didn't it?
Leeds Liverpool wasn't televised.
Oh no!
Crazy.
But the answer, I didn't even watch a Manchester United game last night.
I did, unfortunately. It was. It wasn't a good watch.
No, it's just honestly, they're just a dire watch these days. They just seem to be going through the motions, and I actually do. I do like Liverpool. I like the way they play. And I would love Jurgen Klopp being manager at Old Trafford. Never going to happen, but I just love his approach to the game, and he's done really well.
That new style of management, yeah.
Right,
all right, we'll finish up a couple more. Quickest player.
quickest player I have ever seen in my life is that guy Haaland playing for Norway at Windsor Park when Norway beat us 5-1.
Yeah.
And he just, the speed of that guy, like I've never seen anybody beat a defender like he did that night. And I think it was Cathcart, and he just ran by him like he wasn't there. And yeah. So, and Bestie as well. Bestie was quick.
Yeah.
So, again, these guys are far too young. You've never seen Bestie in his heyday.
No, plenty of footage, video footage.
Yeah, it looked unbelievable.
Yeah. Who's your favourite players?
You'll probably laugh at mine.
Go on.
Steve McManaman.
Not bad. Winger, yeah.
I'm a defender
really?
all day long, but Steve McManaman, yeah.
That's all right. Each to their own.
Who's yours, Tots?
I suppose back in the day, well, there was kind of two that always stuck out for me. Again, they're Liverpool players. One was Robbie Fowler, and the other one was Rob Jones. Probably because it was a right back, but he was kind of like just one of those kind of overlapping right backs that never scored, a bit like myself, but just love getting forward. Yeah, so probably those two kind of.
Man United's Paul Parker kept him out of the English international scene, didn't he?
Paul Parker.
At the time.
Yeah. Well, he was a good right back as well, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
I must admit, one of my other favourite players was Paul Gascoigne. I thought he was.
Me too, in fairness.
Yeah, he was a tremendous footballer, like, you know. And again, all the really best footballers seem to have some flaws in their personality.
Yeah.
I like a pint too.
Don't we all?
All right, best all-round player.
Oh, best all-round player. Again, yeah, I'd have to go for. I know I'm biased here, but I have to go for George Best's because I saw Bestie, not really in his heyday, but he had it all. He could play. He could pass the ball with both feet, right? He could head a ball. He could tackle. He could score goals. He could defend. He just had everything, and he was the best all-round footballer, and that I've ever seen. What about you?
Well, not much else you can say about George Best. I mean, it's already been said. Best all-round player.
Just for the clips, he just was unbelievable. I just would have loved to have witnessed him, to be honest with you. Just some of those goals. Was it the game against? I can't remember. Was it Northampton Town? Was it he'd scored?
Yeah, he scored 6 goals after he'd come back from 6 weeks suspension, and he scored 6 goals at the 8.
Was that the one where he's kind of leaning against the post as well after he'd scored? He was just, it was just so easy for him.
Yeah, one of my abiding memories is actually seeing the great Dutch side of the 74, 78, and they were playing Belfast and beat us 1-0, and to see Bestie and Cruyff on the same pitch was amazing. And the Dutch had a really, really good side and should have won the World Cup, and just superb players. And again, I was fortunate enough to see some really good footballers. Well, here's one for you: Ronaldo or Messi?
No, here we go. Tots' answer to this one will be Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Who?
Personally, I'm not just Messi. Kind of just has me on the edge of the seat, probably a bit more than Ronaldo. But I don't really like those debates because I think we should just enjoy them while we're obviously not going to be playing for much longer, probably another season or two.
They're different players.
They are in a way, yeah. Because Messi's probably more like a playmaking kind of forward. Ronaldo is kind of your number 9. But yeah, I would take either of them in the Liverpool side, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Maybe as a first
Ronaldo's probably the better all-round player, rather than Messi. Like Messi is probably more. Well, I would say Messi is more skillful, right? He can beat 2, 3 players and
Yeah.
put the ball away. But Ronaldo does it on the big stage continuously throughout his career, and whether he should have went back to Manchester United or not, I don't know. But I think he would still,
No.
if United had a good side, I think it would have been a good fit. But I think they probably brought him in hoping he could reignite something in that team, but they got so many players who shouldn't even be there. Anyway, don't start me in Manchester United. I started myself.
All right. For me, Messi and Ronaldo, I change day on daily. It's just, you can, sometimes I'll swing that way, sometimes the other. It just depends. You see different games or different elements of their game, and it's wow, and then can't settle the debate. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's what I
Right.
like. That's debates is what it's all about. Having opinions.
Absolutely. Right, 2 more questions for me, and then I'll hand you back to Niall. So, the player that got better with age, I think you mentioned Chris Brunt there, but
Yeah, better with age. I'd like to say myself, but I probably didn't. Probably got worse over the years. Better with age. I think we've already mentioned him. I think Pat Jennings.
yeah.
I can remember Malcolm Brodie writing an article on Pat and saying he was finished after he left Spurs. And, he was only 30s, early 30s or something like that. And he was on for another 9 years. And, he did seem to get better and better with age, Pat. He was just immense. And to actually go and play in the World Cup in '86, and he wasn't even playing regular first team football. He was only playing for Everton reserves at the time, just to keep his hand in. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Very good. All right, player who always gave 100%. Last one from me.
Player always give 100%. I think when you go through Northern Ireland teams over the years, right, there's been so many, because I think that's in our DNA, is to always go out and give 100% and play for your country. We've had, you look at Johnny Evans, Steve Davis. To me, Steve Davis is probably the one he does every time he goes out. He very rarely has a bad game for Northern Ireland. He just goes out, and even at his age now, 36, 37, he can still do it. But
very underrated.
Yeah, he didn't. I think he should have played a lot more football in the Premier League rather than maybe up at Scotland with Rangers. They idolised him down here at Southampton.
He was Southampton captain, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a superb player for Southampton. And
I was even surprised Villa let him go as well. I was kind of weird Villa.
Yeah, it didn't really work out for him at Villa, or didn't work out for him under Laurie, at
Fulham. Yeah.
When Laurie decided to sign half the Northern Ireland side.
Well, he had all the stats on him, so he knew what he was doing.
Aye, Marshall stats.
Laurie loved his stats. He really was. He was a big one for stats. And I can remember the day before we beat England, right? And he asked me he rang me up and says, "What is the biggest gap for rankings? A team beating each other. So what was the biggest gap? I think we were 127th at the time, and England were probably about 5th or 6th. And I said to him, I don't think there's ever been, a team ranked that low, beating a team ranked sort of in the top 5 in the world, and then we go and do it. And he used that stat afterwards as well, so he did. But yeah, he was a good guy, Laurie. A lot of people, maybe rubbed up the wrong way, but I never had any problems with him.
Great. So the player who always gave 100%, who was sticking with? Steve Davis?
Yeah, Steve Davis, and
Yeah.
let's hope he continues to stick with us for another campaign at least.
Yeah. No, very good. And see, it's interesting. I had a question for you about the managers. Just who's the devil for the detail when it comes to the managers you've worked under?
They all are. In fairness, Michael O'Neill is the same. He went into huge detail, not just stats, but in every aspect.
Yeah.
Of management and the game itself, and every player. So he was, in the opposition too. The analysis he done in the opposition, and they were all like that. So I couldn't say anything bad about any of the managers I've worked with. And Nigel Worthington as well did some stuff for Nigel, and he was quite meticulous too, as is Ian. So I think a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that people don't actually see. And, you're making, some people make assertions of what's, the manager's doing and what the manager's not doing, but they don't see the day to day. Like, I don't see the day to day, but I know what, to a certain degree, the amount of work they actually put into it.
Absolutely. Well, your work must be invaluable to them, as I say, you're bringing the detail and they're being able to make decisions on the back of it. So your hard work.
I think about important. I think it helps a bit. I think it helps.
That's all part of the winning process.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I do is I save people a bit of time, and I pool all the information so it's all centralized, so they're able to look at that, in a spreadsheet, and it's there, in front of them. And I think that helps, especially maybe for the younger players, rather than the coaches actually, ringing up the clubs and sort of saying, is Dale Taylor playing this week, or is Jimmy McDonald playing this week, or, so injured. If I can get all that information in a spreadsheet, I think it helps them out that way.
Oh, fantastic. Have you any budding young players that are catching, their stats are improving, that stand out for you?
There's one at the minute, Kieran McGuckin at Rotherham United. He's scored 17 goals in 15 games for the under 18s at Rotherham. He's been on the bench for the first team as well, and so he's one to keep an eye on. I think a lot of the young players are actually making progress. There's young Jack Scott now. He's over at St Pat's on loan. JJ McKiernan has left Watford to go and join Bohemians on loan. That's good news for them. Get some first team football and in a proper league. And so as I said before, we've got talent coming through, and it's just about realising that potential. At the moment, everybody goes on about Ethan Galbraith, and rightly so. And I think the move for him to Doncaster was a brilliant move this season. And I've seen some of the footage the club have put on Twitter, and he seems to just control games. So yeah, he'll get stronger and he'll benefit from having that season at Doncaster. There is players coming through, and what's more pleasing is players coming through at Premier League level. And the only thing I would like to see more of is, we always seem to have an overload of defenders and midfielders, but we never have, forward players coming through. The only one at the minute is sort of Dale Taylor and the Sky McGuckin, I mentioned. And I think that's where we need to have strikers, forwards, but then, everybody wants strikers and forwards.
No, fair enough.
Yeah,
listen, thank you for going through the Keepie Uppie questions. I'll hand you back to Niall here and see what he has in store for you.
Oh, God.
So, Marshall, this is just, don't panic, this is just what we call the Wheel of Burba, named after an ex-teammate of ours, Sean Lavery, who was over at Leeds. So, just going to spin the wheel. It's going to land on some random topic, and I just want you to give us your view on it. So, Richie, go on ahead. You're going to spin the wheel there with your... So it's just really, it's kind of been a talking point, I suppose, for a wee while, and the debate was raised there, I think, last night between Chris Sutton and Michael Owen. And with your nursing background as well, I suppose it ties in well. What's your kind of view on the concussion protocols in football? Is it something that football should be taken more seriously? Are we kind of lagging behind, I suppose, other sports? What's your
I didn't actually hear that debate last night, but I was aware of it. I seen something on Twitter that they were talking about it. But I think basically, it's a serious injury, concussion, and it should be taken more seriously. And I agree with the authorities that there should be, because they've got a concussion substitute and stuff now. They're able to use outside of their usual substitutes. So I think that's the right way to go. And I think any head injury is serious. And I think if you look at the health of players these days, and what happened to Christian Eriksen and John Heron in the Irish League, and people collapsing, I think we have to actually look and at the care being given to the actual players, and that's the most important thing. And I think yes, we should be looking at that and saying, if they have a head injury, they come off. There's no question about it. And they miss. I can't remember. I think they have to miss the next game or the next 2 games or something. While they're assessed in hospital and stuff. Because when you got concussion, it can happen. Complications can happen. 24 hours, 48 hours afterwards. So yeah, I'd be all for that myself.
Happy days. And last one I'll just end with, it looks like it's going to be a rip-roaring title race in the Irish League. Who are you tipping? It looks as if Cliftonville are right back in it now. It looked as if it was going to be between the big two. But
it's a really hard one to call. People said at the start of the season that Linfield, were going to be the team to beat. But I disagreed with that because I thought to myself, Linfield had lost so many players at the start of the season, like Mark Hockey and Andy Waterworth and Shane Lavery and Joel Cooper went back to Oxford. And to replace those guys, quality players, they were having to bring people in, and it was going to take them time to settle in. And I think Linfield have actually done quite well, under the circumstances. I think Glentoran, they had a poor start to the season, but now, they've got such strength and depth at the Oval. I think they're probably going to be the team to beat. And Cliftonville, I think Cliftonville have done superb this season. I know there's a lot made of the full-time against part-time teams, but I don't think there's that much difference because I've been listening to, players at the so-called part-time teams saying, they're coming in sort of 3 evenings a week anyway. And, working, and probably got a couple of games a week as well. So I don't think there's, that much difference between the part-time and full-time. And I think if I'm looking at it, I think it's maybe Cliftonville are maybe just going to fall a little bit shy of it. I think Glentoran might just nick it from Linfield, and Cliftonville a close third. If you want a prediction.
Okay. And will you be keeping a close eye on the championship as well, being a Fermanagh man with Ballinamallard?
Yes.
They're about.
Yeah, I'd love to get over and see them again. I did see them earlier in the season, when I was home. But yeah, it's going to, the likes of Newry are tough. I think Newry have got a premiership set up there. As a Ballinamallard, but I think if I was going to say that, I think it'd be Newry would probably win the championship this year.
There you are. Yeah.
So that's my predictions. They come back to haunt me.
Just curse them now.
Yeah, and I never bet on football games because I'm terrible.
Me too. It's been a long couple of weeks gambling, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
favor here, favor there. I had COVID last week, and all the football was on the TV, and it was just to entertain myself. And I ended up getting my 12-year-old daughter to pick the teams because She knows better than I do.
Like I remember last year, my son he was at uni doing sport and performance analysis, and he needed some work experience. So I got him some work experience at Larne, and he was doing the analysis for them. And it got at one stage, there was a Larne game was on BBC, and I was doing the stats for the BBC, and my son was doing the analysis for Tiernan Lynch. And I thought, yeah, I got a family business here.
Absolutely.
But he started to get really into the Irish League, because he's another Man United fan. But he was getting into the Irish League, and he said, "This is really good." He said he was enjoying it, and we both sit there and watch the games together when he came back from uni. And like he was getting to the stage, he knew more about how the teams played. He says how about their pressing and about their set plays and stuff like that, and he knew more about that than I did. And I thought,
you say the product of the Irish League is, it's enhanced no end, obviously with Sky Sports coverage, and as you rightly said, the games now at different times, Friday nights, Sundays, Mondays, etc. It'll only benefit the product.
Yeah, like even some my friends over here watch it now and again, like, and especially some of the Sky ones, they'll watch it on a Monday night, and because they do the stats for the Sky guys as well, and so they come and they'll watch it and say it's really good. Like maybe the quality's not superb, but it says the entertainment value is fantastic, and I think the quality has improved over the years. And I think we got better quality players coming into the game, and they're getting. I think it's very noticeable that a lot of football league clubs are now sending their players over to League of Ireland as well and the Irish League, because they know they're going to get good standard of football, and it's going to be men's football. There was Accrington Stanley sent a couple of their guys over to Carrick, Tom Scully and Matty Carson, to get experience of youngsters. And Hull City done the same, and they sent the guys over to Linfield, because they know they're going to get they're good professional clubs, and they're going to get a good standard of football.
Absolutely. Marshall, that's great. Listen, that's been nearly an hour's conversation there, and really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining in and playing Keepie Uppies. Yeah,
sorry it wasn't more exciting with the Keepie Uppies. It was got to people.
Oh, not at all.
No, I loved it.
I've watched. I hope it didn't bore you too much with the stats.
No, absolutely, really enjoyed it. It's an interesting conversation, and everybody got a mention. So thank you for your time.
That's
as you say, you're a busy man.
Well, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem. So we'll leave it there then, and this will be broadcast probably tomorrow. I'll put it up and say we'll share it on Twitter.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right. Well, thanks very much again for having us, and
no problem.
Good luck for the rest of the season, except for Liverpool. You see, that's a tough one. Do I want Liverpool to win the championship, or beat a Man United fan? Do I want Man City? Or,
it's a tough one for you, all right.
or do you just go the other way and just ignore it all completely?
Bury the head in the sand.
Yeah, just get the earplugs either way, especially if Liverpool win it.
Yeah, I think Man City might blow up, actually.
No, I can't. I don't know. I'm hoping so, but I just think I can't see them slipping up. I'd rather be in their position, but we've got a bit of momentum.
Yeah. The Spurs beat City there the other week, so they're beatable. They're not invincible by any stretch of imagination. And,
keeps it interesting, if anything.
Yeah, well, that's it.
All right, well, let's see if my Irish League predictions come through, or otherwise they'll come back to haunt me.
That's it. We'll be on Twitter calling you out.
Yeah. All right, let you guy go.
All right, you take it easy.
No problem.
All right, thanks again. Take care, mate. All the best.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.